So I've opened up my one of my websites, which is just my book cover design website. You may not know, I've been a book cover designer for about 5 years. I studied fine art in Italy for a while. This is me. I talk a lot about book cover design because if you don't have a nice book cover, you can't really do anything to sell your book. You can't get reviews. Everything you do is working uphill against this huge disadvantage, which is having an unprofessional book cover, because you're trying to email people, you're trying to send traffic to your Amazon page. When people see a book cover that doesn't work, they're not going to even find out about the book. They're not going to read the book description. So what happens is they'll glance at your cover. Maybe you did so much work and you actually got your book in front of the right readers, and that's fantastic. It was a lot of effort, but then they look at your book cover and they're just not interested. So they don't click it. They never read your book description. They don't know what it's about, and you lose the sale. So if you're spending all your effort and time and money trying to market your book and you're losing all of the sales before they even find out what your book is about, that's an enormous problem. And that's what most authors are up against, which is why I spend so much time focusing and talking about book covers. I've spoken at a few writing conferences. This is me at Author Marketing Live. I set up DIYbookcovers.com, which has some videos and templates, so you can go there and go to, I put up a few free courses. I'm actually going to turn these into another course. So this is Cover Design Secrets, how to make a cover in MS Word. I built a free online cover design tool that you can use. And so I recommend finding out more about book cover design, because most authors always make the same mistakes. So even if you're hiring a designer, you don't want to be in charge of the process, because if you don't know what book covers are really for or how readers interact with them, what you're going to do is tell the designer to make the wrong thing. And if you are leading that conversation, you're not going to end up with a book cover that sells the books. So I recommend hanging out around this website and watching some of these videos. There's a whole bunch. There's a whole series I put on here just to kind of get the basics of book cover design. Again, I can give you, instant feedback. Book covers are kind of pass-fail. So when you're on Amazon, they either work enough that someone's going to click on it and read the description, or they don't work enough. So it's pass-fail. So if you send me a cover, I'm going to say, yeah, it's good enough to get started. Now focus on the reviews. Now fix your summary. Because it's not really incremental. It's more, did it work or doesn't it work? Like, is it attracting the right readers or not? It's hard to test your book cover design if nobody's seeing your book. So if your rank is really low, if your rank is like down past 1 million, nobody ever finds your book. Anyway, your book cover doesn't really matter. But once they're finding your book, if you're putting your book in front of them with advertising or something, and they're not clicking on the cover, they're not reading the book description, then you have a cover problem, and you have to solve that problem before you do anything else, because nobody's going to buy your books otherwise. So there are other things that are important, but book cover is really, it's not something we can skip. You can get lucky anyway. You can work your ass off and overcome the limitations of an ugly book cover. There's a lot of authors who have done that. You can build up a huge platform to get over that limitation, but everything will be so much easier if you just start off with a good cover. And they're not actually that hard to do. You can use Canva.com. You can use even WordSwag, which is an iPhone application. You can buy a cover on Fiverr.com for like $15 to $50, which is going to be better than most of the stuff you make yourself. And you can also use 99 Designs, which is a little more expensive. It's like $300, but you'll get a lot of really good stuff from different designers. So there are cheap options to getting a nice book cover that will work. There's really no excuse to having an ugly book cover unless, and the reason that it happens is because you don't think it's ugly, because you got it designed based on what you had in mind, and it's exactly what you think your book cover needs to be. But if you've never studied book cover design, you're not a designer, and you made that decision, you're starting from a really weak point, and it's going to be harder. Like, the more time you spend on your book cover design, the more you're going to like it. So the harder it's going to be for you to recognize that that's your problem. And when you're asking people for feedback, nobody's really going to tell you your cover's ugly. They'll give you little tips like you should change this or why don't you try this, but mostly your friends and family are going to say, yeah, it's really good, I really like it. That's terrible advice. They love you, that's why they're trying to be helpful, but when you ask for cover design feedback, most people aren't qualified to give you real advice anyway. If they're not your target readers, when you're asking for advice and you know them, they're not going to give you good feedback, and it's going to hurt your sales. You really need honest feedback from a third party, which can be me, or if your books just aren't selling, that's an indication your cover needs to go. And so, like I said, I put up a whole lot of information, videos, free templates, and I mean, if you watch my YouTube video, there's probably hundreds of videos just talking about book cover design. So, but that's not what this course is about. So I can give you some one-on-one quick feedback on your covers, but I can't redesign them for you, and I can't lead that conversation for you, because even if you hire a designer, if you don't know the principles of book cover design, you're still going to end up with a cover that doesn't work for you. So I mean, I could go on for hours, and I have, but that's something you're going to have to research and learn more about on your own to get a really nice cover that's actually going to sell. I have a book about it even, and a lot of articles. I'll probably link down to the articles down below so that you can just read some of the articles and get up to speed really quickly. Okay, thanks.